Don't normally make any videos. Don't normally make videos anymore, but I want to today because it's, let's look at the world around us. You have a president in the White House where they're finding cocaine in the White House. Trust me, they know who left it, who left that line laying there. They're well aware who did it. You're never going to know it though. They're going to point the finger at Hunter. I'm sure nothing's going to happen to him. Let's look at that. Hunter lies on the 4473. Skates on taxes. Make deals with all these Chinamen. Takes money for who knows what to sell you out. Nobody does nothing. Hillary, responsible for more deaths than a mob. Nobody does nothing. All these politicians sending all this money to Ukraine to then be laundered right back into their pockets. Nobody does nothing. They tax you more and more and more until now, on average, 60% of the household incomes in this country go directly towards taxation. Nobody does nothing. You have three-letter agencies making up rules which make it harder for you to exercise your rights without either being killed or kidnapped. Nobody does nothing. The Supreme Court makes rulings where you can't videotape the police. Nobody does shit. You have all this stuff going on. And the mind tells you that we want to be peaceful, and I get it. I'm with you. At what point, though, I really want to answer to this question. If you're the Wolverine or the Patriot, answer the question. Don't skate it. Don't just not answer because you're going to be a little fucking coward. What would it take for you to act in a way that does something to straighten out what's going on? If you think voting is going to get you there, we're 48 years into this now. We got here because of your voting. We got here because of democracy, everybody getting a vote instead of just the productive people getting a vote. It's so far, the pendulum has swung so far in one direction, it broke off and just kept flying. And it's not going to swing back. I get it. Hope. I know there's the hope of this and the hope of that. Here's the facts of it. If we're not past the point of no return, which I truly believe we are, because people are stupid, nobody's going to act until it affects them directly in their household. They will. I used to live on in Cincinnati. There was like 16 houses on our street in total. And I remember making a video, and I said, if the cops showed up and started at door 1 and kicking in doors and going down the street, you would see 17 or 15 videos on the internet. The next house you'd see 14 videos on the internet. The next house you'd see 13 videos on the internet. And all the rest of those houses, even though they know the cops are coming to them next, would not act in any way to defend themselves. I'm not telling you to act out. I'm telling you to just defend yourself from all criminals. Criminals come in all shapes, forms, sizes, costumes. There has to come a point in time where you recognize that these systems are broken and they have failed. If you cannot recognize anything else about it, set aside that if the government can police you, then you're in no way free. If government can tax you without representation, you're in no way free. I'm not represented by anybody in this government because nobody in this government understands what freedom is, much less what my restrictions on them are for my willingness to be governed by them, for my consent to be governed by them. It's I'm almost to the point of like, this don't even matter anymore. And this is probably a more accurate description of what's going on. It should be going on. It's that there's so few people that understand what's going on, or even have a basic understanding of what's going on, because nobody really knows everything. That I should only be worried about me and my family, which I am worried about me and my family. That's why I'm making the video now, because everybody's sitting on their asses watching all this stuff happening, doing nothing except calling, more times a week or writing longer letters like Gaze and Gizmos would have you do. And of course, you got to buy his blackout coffee. Use discount code. You fools are stupid. You're too blind to see that. I guarantee you, I can start a YouTube channel. And as long as I can probably do it the face covering or something, do it in a way where nobody knew it was me. And I can build a successful YouTube channel. Just saying all the shit the flock continuously says over and over and over again. And I could go either way with it. I could act like some, West Coast liberal, or I could act like the East Coast conservative, or the mid-American conservative, patriot. I told a story the other day about the lady I worked for. Her grandson was a cop, and he told when his cop car rolled it. And when I was talking to her, she said that sometimes you just can't deal with stupidity. She was talking to me about what I was saying. But what I had said to her was, what did he chase the person for? Did he have a license plate lined out? That's a legitimate question. No, he didn't have a license plate on his car. What I was saying to her was stupid in her eyes. And it's not because it was stupid. It's because she's so brainwashed with the fuckery that she truly believes the way she thinks is true. Like, people, they truly believe that. Muslims don't understand how Christians are Christians, and Christians don't understand why Muslims are Muslims. Each has their own truth, but it doesn't matter what the truth really is. Their truth is only their belief system, which has either been shoved down their throat or it's all that they've learned. That's why you have Christians that put all their faith in the Bible. It's provable it's been changed. We can prove that man wrote it. We can prove that as people that can only read English, have no clue what the original text said. We can prove all that stuff. But you can't convince them of it. And you never will. And that's kind of where we're at now. There's so many people with so many beliefs, and they're kind of really, you can put them in a couple of chunks: the conservative right, the liberal left, and then you have the complete people that were just voluntarists. Which I agree with voluntarism, but the problem with it is that the rest of the world's not volunteers, so it doesn't work out right. What the hell? And then you have people like me that just want shit how it's supposed to be. Now, if we could go completely volunteers and the rest of the world do it, I'm 100% in on it. Let's do it. Our problem here is that government's supposed to face outwardly, and it doesn't. Our government's turned 180 and faces inwardly now. And instead of protecting our rights facing outwardly, it executes its rule violating our rights facing inwardly. And that's all governments, from the local government on up. And to some degree, everybody recognizes there's problems, but nobody can think past the problem to come up with a good solution. And when you have a good solution for the problem, it's not a good enough solution because everybody doesn't come out of that solution smiling. The revolution wasn't pretty, a lot of people died. The Civil War wasn't pretty, a lot of people died. Or Northern aggression. I don't even like calling it the Civil War, it's not what it was. The only men that have been free in this world for any length of time, and it wasn't even that long because of sheep. The Wolverines, as Chump would say, Crump would say. There's the people that are, and this is mostly like the conservatives, liberals the same way. It's the world we live in. It doesn't have to be. It's the world we live in because we choose to make it this way. Because we put our own wants and needs, or own wants, over our children's needs. We're worried about our jobs and our cars and our, your guns, and you're worried about all this shit that don't matter. In the big scheme of things, it does not matter. 150 years ago, they didn't have any of this shit. And we're 100 times happier than we are now. I told somebody the other day, we live our lives to chase valueless paper in order to live our lives to chase that valueless paper. In the meantime, there's people over here extorting you, taking that valueless paper, actually living lives. They're actually living. You're not living. You might be breathing. It's not living, though. You know, there's only a few ways out of this. The direction we're going, which is most likely, we're going to keep going this direction. In the end, they will, you know, what they'll eventually do is they'll ban ammo. That's eventually how they'll get the guns. And then at that point, everybody will tuck their little 1,000 rounds of 9mm in the safe with the 9mm in case that one day government ever comes. And then when government comes, they'll hand it over because their life is so means so much to them. Or, you know, you would think once you got to a point where government said that any group of people for any reason is banned from owning firearms, that would be enough. But back to, like, you know, what freedom is. People don't understand what freedom is. It's about you, not about me. We live in a selfish society instead of what was once a selfless society. And people don't understand what those words mean. Just like they don't understand what patriot means. I'm a patriot. I'm a Wolverine. Just preparing you and your family for you and your family. That's probably your best way out of this at this point. At some point, you know, ideally at some point, hopefully you can just lock the gates. But even then, they're going to want to extort you for your property. You're going to pay us, or else we're taking what you worked your whole life for. You never own your property. Government owns it. You lease it. You pay them for the lease. You purchase it. And then you lease it. But you're still leasing it even when you're purchasing it. It's some total bullshit. And then you have these goons that are out hunting day and night, extorting people that are barely making it anyway. Like, it's fucking complete insanity. And if this is your ideal of freedom, well, you're a slave.